I don't want this, she said, her voice flat, the words hitting me harder than I expected as the 2 plane tickets fluttered out of her hand and landed on the floor between us. For a second I couldn't even breathe. Those tickets, 10 days in Italy, the trip we used to daydream about when we were young and broke, had felt like a symbol of something we could fix. A bandage for the cracks that had been spreading slowly, quietly, beneath our feet. But she just tossed them away. Her friend Lila was sitting on the couch with us, one leg crossed over the other, her face tilted in that way people do when they don't want to seem too interested. But I saw it, the spark in her eyes as the tickets landed near her heels. She reached down, picked them up and let out a soft, thoughtful hum. These are nice, she murmured, fingertips brushing the edges. Rome, Florence looks amazing. It was supposed to be for us, I said, staring at my wife. My voice felt too thin, too breakable. For you. She didn't look at me. Well, it wasn't what I wanted. You should have asked first. I swallowed hard. Something cold unfurled in my chest. We used to talk about this trip all the time, I whispered, hoping she'd meet my eyes, say something, anything. That reminded me of the woman I married. But Lila was the one who spoke. Maybe she's changed, she said softly, shrugging. People do. My wife shot her a look, quick, sharp, familiar in a way I couldn't quite name. I forced a smile, though it trembled. Yeah, people change. Later that night, after Lila left, the silence between us settled like dust. I'd picked the tickets up from where she abandoned them and tucked them back into the envelope. I didn't say anything. She didn't either. She went upstairs to bed without even asking if I was coming too. I stayed on the couch, staring at the envelope on the coffee table. Something in me was trying to make sense of it, trying to excuse her reaction or rewrite it or soften it, but all I felt was that slow sinking sense of something slipping out of my hands. And worse, a feeling I didn't want to admit. A feeling that her friend had reacted more like a partner that night than my own wife did. The next day she was different. Softer. Sweeter. She made me coffee, kissed the top of my head, asked about work. It almost worked. I almost believed everything was okay. Almost. But small things kept nagging at me. A locked phone she used to leave everywhere. Sudden walks in the evening. A new perfume she didn't wear for me. And Lila, always in the background now. Always messaging her. Always needing something. Every doubt came quietly, like a whisper at the edge of a room. I didn't want to be the kind of man who snooped. I didn't want to be paranoid. But I also didn't want to be the kind of man who ignored every red flag because he was afraid of the truth. One night I heard her laughing, really laughing, in the kitchen. A sound I hadn't heard directed at me in months. I thought maybe she'd found something funny online, so I walked toward the kitchen. But when I stepped in, the laughter stopped abruptly. She wasn't holding her phone like she usually did. She was hugging it to her chest. Who was that? I asked. No one. You were laughing. So it's been a while. She stared at me as if that alone was offensive. You don't own my emotions. That's not what I meant. Yes, it is. She brushed past me. You always want to know every detail, every thought. It's exhausting. I stood there in the dim light of the kitchen, feeling stupid for even walking in. Something tightened in my throat. I didn't follow her. I didn't ask more questions. But the doubt rooted itself deep. A few days later I came home early. Maybe it was instinct. Maybe hope. Maybe fear. I don't know. But when I walked inside, the house wasn't empty like I expected. Lila's shoes were by the door. Inside the living room, I heard muted voices. My wife's voice, soft, low. And Lila's, laughing quietly. Too comfortably. My chest thudded painfully as I walked in. They were on opposite ends of the couch, but the space between them held something that made the air feel wrong. My wife's hair was messy, cheeks flushed. Lila's legs were tucked underneath her, her shirt slightly off one shoulder. They both turned sharply when they saw me. Hey, my wife said too quickly. You're home early. Clearly, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. What's going on? Lila looked at my wife. My wife looked at me. Something unspoken passed between them. Just talking, she said. We needed to talk about some things. What things? It doesn't concern you, she snapped. Lila touched her arm, just lightly but too familiar. Too reassuring. And that was when something in my chest cracked. I nodded once. Slowly. Okay, I didn't yell. I didn't demand. I didn't accuse. I just walked out and closed the door behind me. But in the car I sat gripping the steering wheel so hard my knuckles went white. The world around me felt blurred, muffled, unreal. I wasn't sure if I should scream or cry or drive until I disappeared. Instead, I did nothing. I just breathed, each breath shaking harder than the last. That night I didn't sleep. She came to bed late, smelling faintly of wine and a perfume that wasn't hers. She didn't say a word. I didn't either. Maybe she thought silence would hide the truth. Maybe she thought I'd never press. Maybe she thought I loved her too much to look it in the eye. She was right for a while. But the next morning when she told me she was going to run errands, I nodded and watched her drive off. Then I opened the drawer where she hid her old tablet. The one she forgot was still synced to her phone. I shouldn't have. I know that. But love makes you foolish, and betrayal makes you desperate. The messages were waiting. Not dramatic. Not explicit. Not cinematic. Just small things. I can't stop thinking about last night. She almost caught us. You make me feel alive again. Then a picture of the plane tickets. Lila had sent it. We should go. Just us. My breath caught. My wife replied, God, yes. My vision blurred. My hands trembled. I closed the tablet slowly, carefully, as if any sudden move would shatter what little was left inside me. When she came home, I was still sitting at the kitchen table. She froze when she saw the tablet. Why did you go through my things? She demanded. You left me no choice. There's always a choice, she shot back. You're right. I whispered, feeling something inside me finally give way. And I'm making mine now. She looked at me, waiting, maybe for a fight, maybe for forgiveness. Instead, I slid the envelope across the table. The plane tickets. You should go with her, I said quietly. You already have one foot out the door. Might as well take the rest of you. Her face paled. It's not. Don't, I said. Please. I don't want another lie. She stared at me, mouth opening then closing again like she didn't know what to say. Maybe she didn't. Maybe she finally ran out of stories. I stood and walked past her, past everything we built, everything we ruined. My voice cracked when I added, I would have given you the world. She didn't follow me. I don't know if that hurt more or less. Outside, the air felt colder than it should. Sharper. Real. For the first time in months, I felt something like clarity, painful and clean, like a wound exposed to air after being hidden too long. Sometimes the truth doesn't explode. It unfolds. Quietly. Slowly. Until there's nothing left to hold on to. Except the choice to walk away.